Welcome to Overwatch, and welcome to something a little bit interesting that's happened. Yeah, kind of cool actually, something I'm really happy about, something I wanted to talk about a little bit before. Now, I was actually going to use this footage to sort of talk about the McCree and Diva changes that they've sort of hinted at coming in the future, but something else way more interesting's popped up, and it's like a big discussion point that's been kind of lurking in the shadows around the community for a little while now, especially in the pro scene, and it's about cheating. And sort of how Blizzard is going to handle cheaters, what their anti-cheat is like, if there is an anti-cheat, how does it work, what are they going to do, are they going to be lighthearted, they're going to have kid gloves, how are they going to work with that? Well, it turns out, the first thing that I've seen Blizzard do in regards to cheaters, by the way, is they have issued bans during the beta. There's a couple of like notorious cases where, you know, people were using hacks and then they got banned out the game, basically. So yeah, Blizzard have been policing it a little bit, but they haven't issued any statements, haven't made any sort of declarations about this is how we're going to work with cheaters. And so what they've done now is, after, you know, the first week of release or so, Blizzard have just gone nuts on cheaters. And so what's happened is PC Gamer ran this article not that long ago, basically saying, hey, yeah, Blizzard has reacted to the cheating problem. And in China, what they've done, actually, is fascinating to me, which is they banned a load of accounts, absolute ton of accounts, and they listed the battle tags of the people who are banned, and that's incredible. Now, I don't think Blizzard West are ever going to do that, just because Blizzard have always had like a very anti-naming and shaming policy. But one thing that's super interesting that's come out is apparently cheaters, and you know, the forums that cheaters frequent, have been complaining that even though they say they cheat and they buy the game again, or they get a hold of the game again somehow, and so they start playing again, and not long after that they get banned again, and again, and again, and again, even though it's clean, the account, like the new account is clean, and they've tried deleting all files from the hard drive, tried making sure, you know, it's as clean as possible, but they just keep getting banned, basically. And this is basically Blizzard saying, no, you don't cheat in Overwatch. If you do, it's one strike and you're out forever. From what we can tell, at least, from what's been shown. And it's fascinating to me because that's a really bold statement. That you normally see, you know, things be fairly hands-off and cheat. By the way, Farah versus McCree is a massive pain in the ass, but there you go. But yeah, it's a massive statement, isn't it? Because it basically says that, you know, if you cheat once, that's it. You don't get to play Overwatch anymore. I am fine with this, by the way, as someone who has no inclination in cheating, like to cheat, or has any desire to cheat. Like, if I wanted to play a game and have a massive unfair advantage, I'd just play against AI and then have my fun that way and make fun of them that way. Or I'd try and play a game with like a custom game mode where I can set that kind of thing up, and yeah, sure, abusing your friends can be fun, but to me, it's never had an appeal cheating in an online game. Never really cared for it. And so I really don't mind seeing cheaters just get completely shit stomped out the game and there just be no tolerance at all. Now, of course, with the discussion, you can't, you know, you got to bring up the alternate ways of doing this. You know, Valve, for example, have the VAC bans, which are displayed on your account. Are Blizzard going to do the same? Are they going to name and shame? Personally, I'm not a big fan of it so much, just because if there is a false positive, if there ever is a false positive, it can really fuck with people's lives. And so you've got to be a little bit careful. I mean, this is the danger of having that sort of one strike and you're out system, is if there is a false positive, then that guy is just screwed, right? So you have to be very careful, and I recommend if you're playing Overwatch, just avoid any kind of fishy shit program, because it will screw you the hell over if it is a cheat. Now, and also they've also said, by the way, that support will not overturn the bans. So that's it. You are done if they ban you. You are just finished in Overwatch. That's huge. That's a really big statement. Also, this high noon positioning. The Mei just gets the wall in time. But that felt so nice. And also stunning people in a dragon or in a wolf. That works too. That's always fun. But the sort of underlying issue with this as well is cheating in the pro scene, right? Because there's been a couple of Reddit witch hunts already, for example. I mean, everyone knows the names now. It's Surefour and Taimu. They've generally been hunted down for hacking and cheating, and they've been sort of regarded with a huge amount of suspicion. My advice with witch hunts is be very, very careful with the evidence. And let me actually take a moment to try and explain something about play of the game as well, something that we know about play of the game and kill cam especially. So what happens with those is it's the game basically using the server-side footage to recreate what happened. It's not the live recorded footage. So what you're watching now, for example, is live recorded footage from my computer. If I was hacking, you'd see it very, very obviously, because it's footage directly from my PC, right? What would be harder to see is if it's footage from the server, because what happens there is it's basically recreating it using the information that the server's given you. Also, by the way, this is massively annoying when like your entire team leaves. We're pushing really well. Like, we're halfway through the hangar phase with 5 minutes to spare. That's actually pretty good time. And then everyone leaves, and it's just like, okay, now we have to just resort our shit out. So while we do that, and this game was actually going pretty well until that point, and now we sort of get stalled out here. I'm getting distracted by the game in the background. Sorry, I like talking about Overwatch and contemplating. Also, there's a police car outside, so yay! It's always fun. But yeah, like, what happens with the play of the game system is if there's any packet loss, and packet loss does happen. It happens to everyone every now and then. Like, you'll just lose 1 or 2 bits of information. And anytime that happens, the game will basically try and use its wizardry to figure out, okay, well, this is what probably happened. And it tries to guesstimate everything. Also, this is really fun, by the way. When you use High Noon, you use it to zone into an area, and then you just, like, you set someone else up for an ultimate. Always try and capitalize on that kind of thing, by the way, guys. Like, High Noon, even Justice, Reigns from Above, the Barrage, try and use that. Try and use Diva's ultimate as well, because most people just tend to huddle in the same place. So it's like, hey, go kill them all. Great. But yeah, it's using that wizardry to try and figure out, okay, well, what happened? That's why aim can sometimes appear really, really snappy in gameplay, in live gameplay, and in kill cams and play of the game, because those are based on server-side information, not on live information. It's not like a recording off your PC. So you've got to be so careful when using that kind of stuff, and it even happens when you're spectating games as well, so just be very careful with it. My advice is, if you are, like, suspicious of someone, don't rely on the kill cam and play of the game stuff, unless it's completely blatant, like it's consistently tracking completely smoothly in one location on someone, that kind of thing, and just report them. When in doubt, just report them, and Blizzard will take a look at it, I'm sure. Like, they have a shitload of support staff working on the game, and if enough people are suspicious of someone and enough people report someone, then maybe, hey, they'll get a close look into their account, and maybe something will be found. Maybe it won't. Maybe they're just really good. That does happen, by the way. Some players are really good, and this is sort of, I think this is definitely the case with Timer especially, is he's a really good sniper, so it doesn't strike me as surprising that people accuse him of hacking every now and then. The same with, there's another really good sniper out there who's called Tsini. He has a YouTube channel as well. I recommend going and checking him out. He's a really good Widowmaker player. He's one of the most terrifying snipers in the game, one of the most experienced snipers around, and it's one of those things where it's like, you've just got to be so careful about it. Because, especially when dealing with the pro community, now I'm tempted to say, like, let the pro community sort itself out, but I'm also aware of the issue where you can have something like what was happening in basically TF2 competitive, where there was a lot of hacking, especially on the snipers, and what happened was, you know, until the Lameo box ban came in, a lot of them were kind of covering each other as well, and that's really bad for a competitive scene. Now, Overwatch's competitive scene is going to be a lot larger, and I think a lot of this stuff is going to be watched a lot more closely, especially by admins, casters, tournament orgs, stuff, people like that. We're all watching, by the way, so when we're watching the tournament, we are sort of keeping an eye out for stuff like this. We're not, you know, actively hunting. Was that fishy? Was that fishy? We're never probably going to say during a cast, hey, that was really fishy, that didn't seem right. But we will be sort of keeping an eye and talk amongst ourselves going, was that legit, or did that look a bit odd to you? We do talk amongst ourselves, guys, by the way, so yeah. And I just say, watch out for witch hunts, especially. Like, I've noticed in the past where people will just take a clip and just go, people will just go, oh, that's obviously hacking, and they won't really have any grounds for what they were talking about there. Well, they're talking about wrong things. So, for example, a lot of people misunderstand how flicks work with sniping, and so someone who uses or heavily relies on flicking as Widowmaker will look very suspicious. If I were you, I'd just enjoy the game, put it out of your mind until you see someone suspicious, and then just report them. If you do think that a pro is cheating and you're watching tournaments, well, kinda, you just gotta sort of be very careful with accusations, especially, you know, in a hive-mindy kind of location like Reddit. So yeah, it's one of those things. It's just one of those things, and I'm so glad to see Blizzard taking a no-nonsense style to it. I hope that pretty much everyone follows suit. If a pro gamer especially is caught cheating, then just get rid of him. Like, I don't want him in the community. I think if you're cheating and you're trying to play something at the highest level, it's just inherently awful. It also, like, especially to pros, it illegitimizes not only your achievements, but the achievements of everyone else on that team. So if someone is cheating, then any wins that team had in a tournament, it suddenly doesn't matter. I don't give a shit anymore. You had a cheater on your team. Clearly, that was giving you a massive unfair advantage. How am I meant to sort of gauge how good that team is? I can't, because, yeah, exactly. So, you know, to the teams themselves out there as well, they need to be aware that if they do think, hey, are you playing legit, or are you actually fucking around? If that someone is fucking around, stop them. Because any wins you have will be completely illegitimized. Completely illegitimized. And I want to sort of commend Blizzard on the zero tolerance. Like, I'm a big fan of that approach. I think the number of false positives they'll have are tiny. I think a lot of people sort of overplay that, oh, I downloaded it just to see how it works. Like, that excuse sometimes floats up. Also, by the way, like, we had a really hard time here until someone swapped to Widowmaker, which I'm so happy about. I wanted to get that Dead off, and then I was swapping to Soldier anyway, because we were really struggling against the long-range threats of, like, the Pharah and the Widow. So McCree's, like, medium and close range is really good, but Widow's and Soldier's long range is a lot better. So I just wanted that to help deal with those threats. But we're already pushing well, and like this guy just goes Widowmaker and just cleans up, and it's actually a really nice play of the game that they get as well. And that's what I love to see as well with a Justice range from above, is everyone reacts. But like one fun thing I noticed, the difference between me and other people is when other people hear an ultimate, they sort of run away. When I hear it, I just turn and shoot the person. And that reaction is so frustrating when other people don't have it. I think it's just coming out of the closed beta when you have very experienced players, then that kind of happens. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on cheating, how Blizzard's approaching it. I'm really happy to see that they are just going fully aggressive on it, and look at this air shot. See, that is a snap. Like, that's not a cheat, that's just I used the term earlier and completely forgot. But thanks for watching to the end. I've been Josh, one voice amongst many. These are my thoughts on cheating. Congrats to Blizzard for taking a no tolerance, no messing about approach to it, and I hope to see more of that in the future. Toodles.
Perfect start for everything.